Thank you so much for joining us, ma'am, once again. I
Thank
know
you.
today the topic is going to be very, very difficult for us to talk about, and of course for people who wants to probably talk about it. And I think it's the topic a lot of people generally avoid when it comes to having a conversation. But I think it's an interesting topic, and we must also hear that your take on it, and of course have a little conversation on this. And that's why
Sexual
let's
abuse,
talk
which is
about very, very not spoken. I noticed that a lot of cases, almost 99.1 cases, are not reported when it comes to sexual abuse, whether it's child abuse towards women or men. And it becomes very difficult to report a case sometimes for a bigger family or a joint family, because sometimes the culprit is either the relative or the culprit is someone who is from the family. So I
take
wanted
that
to understand
courage.
to step and inform and report this kind of a situation, at least address it.
Yeah, when you said that this is a topic people avoid, the reason behind that is that there are several layers to this topic.
Hmm.
Here, for any kind of sexual harassment, for sexual abuse that we're talking about, there are psychological effects that we're talking about. There are emotional aspects. There is
Hmm.
social aspect to this, how the society is
Hmm.
responding, and legal. There are
Yes.
legal angles to this as well. So, because of so many different complications, I mean, all of them put together make it complicated. So, because
Hmm.
of all these factors playing simultaneously, one kind of feels very lost and unsure of
Let me
what
give you
to
an
do.
example.
So, a real case that I worked on. So there's this girl who approached me that she needed help about something. She wanted to talk about something, and she must have been 19, 20. And it
Okay.
seems when she was about 9 or probably 10, her elder brother, her
Hmm.
real elder brother, 4 years elder to her, he
Hmm.
started having a sexual relationship with her. And she
Okay.
was, yeah, she couldn't understand what was happening, and then she was too scared to inform anyone. And obviously, my first question was, did you try speaking to your parents? And she said,
Hmm.
Father, there's no question of me talking to my father about this. But it seems her mother happened to see them once. And so obviously, I thought then that would have taken care of the thing. So it seems her mother was very angry with her, and she told her
Hmm.
that my son is such a gem, you only must have done something. And her mother apparently beat her up and whatnot, this and that, which made her brother even stronger in his approach and about his actions, that what he's doing is not wrong, and so on and so forth. So thereafter, what she started doing is she used to avoid being at home. And definitely, if she was
Okay.
going to be alone, she would avoid being at home. But he continued at every possible opportunity. So, the point when she was talking to me at that point of time, she mentioned that for the last 5 years or so, she had stopped going home, or she used to go very briefly, but not staying at home. And definitely, she
Hmm.
ensured that she was not going to be home alone or whatever. But at every possible
Hmm.
opportunity, her brother, who was by now in his 20s, was still having his strong purpose very, very clear. And at that point of time, of course, she was very emotional and everything, and I let her cry and I let her speak up, and I told her that let's find out what can be done. And so I spoke to two people. One was my counseling teacher, and
Hmm.
the other was my sister, who's an activist, a social activist. She works a lot with cases related to abuse and things like that. So I spoke to both of them, and uh, there was, of course, neither of them know her personally. I have known her for quite some time. So their response was
They had
absolutely no bias, and they just spoke in general about
correct.
cases which are similar. For them, it was just another case. For me, it was someone I knew, I cared for. My teacher had a very different perspective about the whole thing because I did
Okay.
not think from that angle. He said, of course, you have the option to go to the police. Yeah. But then understand that there are several layers to this. Uh, this is then going to become a legal case. And psychologically and emotionally speaking, he said you have to first ensure that while she was going through all of this, uh, she did not in some way was a party to this, because the police is going to bring up all these issues. And if at that point of time she's not strong enough, then it can backfire on her, I said. Then the other person I spoke to was my sister, who's already dealing with many such cases. And from legal perspective, she said that definitely she can go to the police and there is all possible help available. But then socially, if we already know what is her mother's stand on the matter, and then in most cases, my sister explained that in most cases, what happens is that at the spur of the moment, one may think that I'm going to take legal action and I'm going to teach them a lesson and so on and so forth and blah, blah. But when the matter is probed further and when there is pressure from the family and the society, in most cases, these victims kind of give up. They withdraw their complaints. So, having understood the matter from these two aspects, which were not earlier on my mind, because I was only thinking from emotions point of view, you know, emotions and psychologically how one feels and so on and so forth. Then, when I met her again, I had a discussion in great detailing, and I told her exactly what I had heard, of course, so that it is palatable to her. And she said that she does not think she can take a legal stand on the matter, and she was quite sure how her family members were going to react. And after discussing it in great detail, we were trying to find out what is it that is needed. So few matters that came up. One was to stop her brother. That is one.
Yes.
Two, I was very sure that her parents needed to know about this.
Correct.
Because it's not just something to be put under the rug to hush the matter and all that. She had to understand and accept that it's not something to be ashamed of. It's not her fault. She's the victim. Yeah, she has been wronged.
Yes.
Yeah. The fault is somebody else's. Number 4, it's not about teaching another person a lesson. Stopping someone does not mean I have to teach you a lesson and I will embarrass you, I will shame you, I will show your real face to the society and this and that and all that. So I said, a revenge wala idea, rethink. And number 5, most importantly, to ensure that this is not repeated.
Yes.
With him or anybody. So it's about standing up for yourself. You know, that line which became very famous with some film, no means no. Having that clarity. Yeah, having that clarity that no, boss, no. And not waiting for, oh, somebody will come and save me and all that kind of. Now, I'm not talking about violence and self-defense and learn karate and this and that. That's not what I'm talking about. But having that clarity. See, as mature adults, as consenting adults, one does whatever is their personal matter. I'm not getting into that.
Correct.
But when your answer at a given point of time or for a given person is no, You have to have the courage and the strength to stand that ground, irrespective of who it is and what the situation is. So I
Yes.
told her that these are the issues we need to work on. She also happened to mention in the passing that she told one of her friends, male friends, whom even I knew,
Mm. Mm.
and he also felt very bad about it and whatever, whatever. I said, now just one sec. Now, when you are sharing this with just a random friend, a male friend at that, now make
Mm.
sure that this person does not then look at it this way that, oh, if she's okay with her own brother doing this, why would she mind me?
Exactly. Exactly. Yes.
So I said, you have to learn to put your foot down. Of course, if you want to go ahead with him, there's nothing to stop you,
Mm.
you
Mm.
know, but have that clarity. Then later, don't feel that, oh, I trusted you and
Mm.
this is what you did to me, and whatever, whatever.
Yes.
So, to just wrap up the case, what I wanted to share basically is we can have even such situations in our society, and it's really a very, very sad situation that
Mm.
youngsters find it so difficult to talk to their parents, because in many cases this
Mm.
is how parents land up reacting.
Correct.
you
Yes.
know Somehow they want to hush up the matter,
Yes.
which is a very, very sad state of affairs. Yeah,
Absolutely.
and just because you want to protect your male child and you think that your female
Mm.
child will be easier to dominate and control, this is not at
Mm.
all acceptable. So, as
Correct.
parents, as counselors, we have a very big responsibility, even bullying for that matter. Now, physically
Correct.
bullying people or trying to dominate them is an extension of the same kind of instinct, of same
Yeah.
kind of behavior, of same kind of approach. So
Mm.
it's not possible to eradicate people with this kind of approach from the entire world. You will come across them
People.
wherever you
Yeah.
go. Yeah.
Correct.
The idea is not to get scared and, oh, now what will happen to me and who will protect me. The idea is not to get into that zone, is what I feel.
Yes. I think that's a very interesting way of looking at it. Very different and fresh approach. Because I think I like the idea that yes, you will always have issues and troubles in your life, but that doesn't mean that you just close the door and shut the room and sit in that. You'll have to prepare yourself to face it.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
how do
Exactly.
we also ensure that the parents, because like you just gave the example, parents are the first step, and it
Yeah.
becomes very difficult for parents, especially not the modern parents, the nuclear family, because they're educated, but especially people who are, we are talking about the middle-aged parents. How do we prepare them for that? Because it's very difficult for you to mold someone who is already set in a certain way of
You'll be
thinking.
surprised. You'll come across people who are very hi-fi, big degree holding people, but when it comes to this kind of discussion, they will have very closed approach. Yeah, it's rather
Absolutely.
unfortunate, but it is true. Yeah.
Mm.
Then I also come across
Mm.
parents who are so hyper that they won't let
Mm.
their child go do things alone. And they'll keep, what they call helicopter parents, yeah, hovering
The
around
other
the,
extreme.
yeah, the other extreme. Yeah. So that also, like I was saying, overprotecting also does not help. You're not letting the child develop his or her
Explore.
own strengths, explore. Yeah. So that also is not the answer. But yes, it's not enough just to educate the children. You are right. Parents also need to change. I don't know, people may think this is too radical a thought, but I think our society gives a lot of unnecessary importance to sex. Yeah.
Overrated,
Yeah,
rather.
yeah,
Yeah.
overrated, overrated.
Yes.
Yeah, and
Correct.
then that brings in the angle of, oh no, sexually abused.
Yes.
And
Yes.
therefore the shame of how can I share with anyone. I know so many boys, yeah,
Hmm.
who have never ever spoken about the abuse they went through because people will laugh at them. That, as a
Hmm.
man, you're supposed to, how could you
Hmm.
let it happen and things like that. It's really, really
Correct.
sad. Yeah, there with so many changes in the in our law system and our constitution and things like that. The girls
Hmm.
are still becoming more vocal about whatever problems they're facing. But you'll come across so many boys and men who are not even talking about it to the closest of the people. The person who has
Yes.
committed the crime gets away with it because nobody complains about him or her,
Exactly.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
so it's high time that our society starts changing these beliefs and becomes more vocal about all this and looks at things more in a different way
Ma'am,
altogether.
why would you think
Mm.
someone go ahead and abuse, and especially why would they do it to family
Our
or someone
home
who's
is the
close?
environment where we experiment everything first. In fact, uh, not that I'm trying to create sympathy for the abuser, but why
Hmm.
is it that they attack their own? Because home is where
Why?
you experiment everything.
Very
These are the
important point.
closest people.
Hmm.
Yeah. Now, in that case, that I mentioned to you about this girl and her brother, he could
Hmm.
have tried some other girls also. Why his own
Yes.
sister? She was the closest possible victim at home, available.
Yes. Correct.
Yeah, I'm not trying to generate any sympathy or justify what he did, but I want us to even think about why
Doing
they
what they're
are being
doing.
fed with so much visually explicit, detailed
Yes.
information they don't know what to do with. And they want to experiment. And whom will they experiment with? The closest
Yes.
possible
So
victim that
home
they
has
can
to be
find.
a
Very safe environment where very
Hmm.
open communication, where we trust
Hmm.
each other, where we are not living in the fear of if I say this, what will my parents or my siblings say?
Hmm.
So that's where it all begins.
Not being judgmental, at least with your family.
Yeah, and parents also have to keep this in mind that they need to provide a safe environment, yet be open minded to listen to whatever is coming in and take a firm stand based on that. Not just brush it up saying, oh, aisa kuch nahi hota hai. Oh, don't pay attention to such talks, or oh, forget about all this
Yeah.
and all this. Yeah,
This is very
we,
common.
oh, this feeling will go away. Arey, go away where? Huh? Nothing
Yes.
goes away unless you face it, unless you deal with
Face
it.
it.
It will come back. It might go away for a fraction of a second or for a short while. Yeah, you might be
Yes.
able to distract yourself briefly, but it is going to come back. It is going to come back.
Older
Very often it
relatives.
is from the family, and that is really sad. These people need therapy.
They
Yeah,
do. Yes.
they definitely need therapy. These people, they need to start looking at other bigger things in life. Every
Hmm.
possible mm, person that you come across, a defenseless youngster that you come across, is not someone you need to experiment with, is not your prey. Yeah, you have to go through uh, some kind of therapy, talk to someone, find out what is wrong with you. Why
Yes.
does every possible uh, person look like an opportunity for you to get into the act? It is really sad.
now because we're talking about sexual abuse, which is a very hush hush topic, and now people have started talking about it, do you think it should be a very prominent part of the syllabus in the education system?
You mean sexual abuse being a part of the syllabus or
Sex
sex
education
education?
plus a little about sexual abuse also.
If we are going in that direction, it has to be done very sensitively. You'll be surprised. A few years ago, there was a big issue about including sex education as a part of the syllabus from fifth standard onwards.
I
From
have
fifth
seen those.
standard onwards, manuals that were created for teachers that you have to go
Okay.
through this content and teach this in class. I've seen those manuals, and uh, they were so terribly prepared, you can't imagine. So, I mean, as I've mentioned earlier, I come from a family of teachers, so I have seen those
You would
manuals,
know.
and yeah, those books were so terrible that they had to be stopped from being
Oh,
circulated. Yeah. Okay, let me put it this way. I don't know whether people would like to hear it in this manner, but whether or not you tell children about these issues, they are going to find out eventually.
easily now. Now it's more
Yeah,
easy.
yeah, yeah. Okay, they are going to find out. So if you want to be the one to break the news to them, then you have to do it very sensibly, keeping all psychological aspects in mind also.
Mm.
Okay. Also, understand that uh, not every child is the same.
Yes.
They all come from different family backgrounds, different
Mm.
exposure to
Mm.
various aspects in life.
Mm.
Nowadays, so many
Yes.
children come from single parent, that kind of a background.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there are many factors that you need to consider. Don't just, okay, this is
Yeah.
something you need to know about, so this is it. Uh,
One
that
shoe
that
fits
was the
all.
kind of manuals, yeah. That was the kind of
It has to
manual that
be.
was prepared. I properly planned and done, not just okay, just
Formality.
sarkari, we've
Yeah.
done this formality. We've
Yeah.
done this. It doesn't work like that. You'll be causing more damage than helping them.
While you were speaking, I also realized that we, I mean, of course, now in my generation, we can speak about it openly
Yeah,
among the friends, but our parents or even like, they
for
are
example,
not
if I go for my
comfortable talking
uncle,
to each other in the
yeah,
family about
yeah,
anything related. Like the channel changes if there is any scene that
yeah.
comes which is a little awkward. That's how the country works here. How do you even think of introducing sex education as a subject? And yes,
Mm.
so I think we need to have two syllabus, one for parents and one for children. And then because I have a couple of friends I know who who have gone through sexual abuse when they were and very young, they are married
Mm.
or they fall in love with someone.
Mm.
How do we ensure that that
Person is
trauma
able to
should not
cope up.
mix into the marriage or the relationship or love that they are
Yeah,
into?
yeah. So first thing first, there is not going to be a kind of a generic answer for this because the trauma could be different, the situation could be different from for different people, yeah, and what they have done to come out of it so far uh,
Mm.
will also vary. The partner also needs to be more
Therapy will
patient,
definitely
and
help.
counseling
Especially the
therapy
counselors,
definitely.
yes. Yeah. Great. So I think this is something that is very personal. So I want to keep it to the audience that if you have any situation like this, and if you
Yeah.
feel that there is someone you need to talk to, you have Divya Naithani, and of course, she is someone who definitely could direct you in the right direction and, of course, let you know how the things can work out for you. Great. I think with this note, ma'am, we are done with this episode, and I'm so glad that we did this topic because it
Yeah,
just makes
people
me
normally
feel,
avoid. People
yeah,
normally avoid talking about this.
I think it is very important for us to now hear from you all and tell us what do you think about these topics and what are your comments and what are your suggestions so that we could go ahead and do one. So we want to open this now forum to all of you and do let us know. I'm able to think now in a very different way because there are certain aspects that I was not aware of. So thank you for that. And yeah, I think this is going to be amazing. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Amit.